Yellowstone fans, hold on tight, because what I'm about to show you is going to completely blow your mind. The trailer for Blood Aces has finally dropped, and I have to say, this is not just another spin-off. This is something else entirely. From the very first frame, you can feel it. That raw, gritty, unapologetic energy that made Yellowstone the phenomenon it became. But this time, we're not on a ranch in Montana. We're deep in the heart of Texas, we're in the smoky back rooms of Dallas, and we're headed straight to the neon lights of Las Vegas. And at the center of it all is one man, Benny Binion. A man so dangerous, so charming, so absolutely larger than life that even the legends were afraid of him. Cole Hauser is back, and he is absolutely terrifying in the best possible way. I genuinely could not look away from the screen for a single second. So, if you thought Rip Wheeler was intense, just wait until you see what Cole Hauser has brought to life this time. Because Benny Binion makes Rip look like a choir boy. From the very first second of this trailer, you know exactly what kind of show Blood Aces is going to be. And I have to say, it sets the tone so perfectly that by the time the title card hits the screen, you are already completely locked in and there is absolutely no turning back. The trailer opens on a wide shot of Fort Worth, Texas, and it is dusty, it is hot, and it feels dangerous in a way that only the American South can feel dangerous. There is something about the way they've captured that landscape that immediately transports you. It does not feel like a set. It does not feel like a production. It feels lived in, it feels real, and it feels like a world that has its own rules and its own consequences. Right away, you understand that this is not going to be a clean story. This is not going to be a story about a good man making good choices. This is the story of a man who decided that the rules everyone else was following simply did not apply to him, and then spent his entire life proving that point with absolute conviction. And then Cole Hauser appears on screen for the first time, and honestly, I got chills. I am not exaggerating when I say this. The man has completely transformed himself for this role. As Rip Wheeler, Cole carried this quiet, brooding intensity that felt like a storm always just about to break. But as Benny Binion, something is different. Something has shifted in a way that is hard to put into words, but impossible to miss. There is a sharpness to his eyes in this trailer that feels genuinely unpredictable. There is a smile on his face in certain moments that is somehow more unsettling than any of Rip's silences ever were. Because Rip was a man who followed a code. Rip had loyalty and love driving him underneath all that toughness. But Benny Binion, from what this trailer is showing us, is a man driven purely by ambition, by hunger, and by an absolute refusal to ever be told no by anyone for any reason whatsoever. The opening scenes show a young Benny moving through the streets of Fort Worth with this energy that is impossible to ignore. He is not the biggest man in the room. He is not the loudest. But every single person around him knows exactly who he is and exactly what he is capable of. And that is something Cole Hauser communicates with such incredible precision through nothing more than the way he carries himself and the way his eyes move across a room. You see him in these early Fort Worth scenes, and you immediately understand that this is a man who has been underestimated his entire life and has made an entire career out of making people pay for that mistake. The streets of Fort Worth in this trailer feel alive with tension. Every interaction Benny has in these early scenes feels like it is one wrong word away from exploding into something violent and irreversible. What is also immediately clear from the very opening of this trailer is the sheer production quality of Blood Aces. This is not a small television production trying to punch above its weight. This is a full-scale cinematic experience, and you can feel every single dollar of that budget in every single frame. The lighting, the costumes, the set design, everything has been crafted with this obsessive attention to detail that tells you immediately that everyone involved in this project understood exactly what they were building and exactly what the stakes were. Sylvester Stallone's involvement behind the camera is clearly being felt in a massive way because there is a cinematic confidence to Blood Aces that most television productions simply do not have. Every shot feels intentional. Every scene feels like it is building towards something enormous. And by the time the first minute of this trailer is over, you are not just interested in Blood Aces anymore. You are completely and utterly invested in it. There is also a voiceover that runs through parts of this opening section of the trailer, and it is delivered by Cole Hauser in this low, unhurried, deeply confident voice that sounds like someone who has never once doubted himself in his entire life. And the words being spoken are not your typical action show setup lines. They are philosophical. They are the words of a man who has looked at the world and made a very conscious decision about what kind of man he was going to be and exactly what he was going to build. The voiceover talks about hunger, about ambition, about the difference between men who wait for opportunities and men who create them by any means necessary. And delivered in Cole Hauser's voice, over those stunning Fort Worth visuals, it lands with an impact that genuinely stays with you. This is the kind of opening that makes you realize immediately you are watching something that is going to be talked about for a very long time. As the trailer moves forward, we begin to get a much fuller picture of the world that Blood Aces is building, and I have to say, it is an absolutely breathtaking world to look at. The production has clearly gone to extraordinary lengths to recreate mid-century Texas and Las Vegas with a level of authenticity that feels almost overwhelming in the best possible way. Every frame of this trailer looks like a photograph from a history book that somehow came to life and started moving. The cars, the clothes, the neon signs, the smoke-filled rooms, the gambling dens, every single detail has been crafted with such care and precision that you genuinely forget for long stretches that you are watching a television series. It feels more like a prestige film. It feels like the kind of production that gets talked about during awards season, and based on what this trailer is showing us, that conversation is absolutely going to happen. We see Benny moving from Fort Worth to Dallas in this section of the trailer, and the transition is shown brilliantly. Fort Worth was survival, Dallas is ambition, and the way the show visually distinguishes between those two worlds tells you so much about who Benny is and where he is headed. In Fort Worth, he was scrapping and hustling and fighting for every inch. In Dallas, you see him beginning to build something. You see him surrounding himself with people who are loyal to him, and you see him establishing the kind of presence that makes powerful men take notice. But you also see the violence that underpins everything he is building. Because nothing Benny Binion ever built was built cleanly, and this trailer does not shy away from that for even a single moment. The supporting cast that we get glimpses of in this section of the trailer looks absolutely exceptional. Without going into too much detail, what I can tell you is that the people surrounding Cole Hauser in these scenes look like they belong in this world completely. There is a woman who appears in several scenes who carries this fascinating mix of warmth and danger that immediately makes you want to know everything about her. There are men around Benny who look like they would follow him into absolutely anything without a moment of hesitation, and that loyalty feels genuine and earned rather than just implied. And then there are the enemies, the rivals, the men who look at Benny Binion and see something they need to destroy, and those confrontations, even in these brief trailer glimpses, are electric with tension and promise. What also becomes very clear in this section of the trailer is the tone that Blood Aces is going for, and it is a tone that fans of Yellowstone and Tulsa King are going to recognize and love immediately. It is that perfect balance of epic storytelling and deeply personal character work that Taylor Sheridan has essentially made his trademark. You feel the weight of history in every scene. You feel the consequences of every choice. And yet at the center of all of it is this one deeply complicated, deeply human man whose story you cannot look away from, no matter how uncomfortable it sometimes makes you feel. That is the magic of this kind of storytelling, and Blood Aces appears to have captured it completely from what this trailer is showing us. The Dallas sequences in this trailer also introduce us to the gambling world that Benny Binion is going to make his empire from, and those scenes are electric. The backroom poker games, the dice tables, the smoky rooms full of men with too much money and too much pride, all of it is shot with this incredible energy that makes you feel the excitement and the danger simultaneously. Because in Benny Binion's world, gambling was never just entertainment. It was power. It was control. It was the mechanism through which he built his empire and enforced his authority over an entire city. And watching Cole Hauser move through those rooms with that terrifying confidence, you completely believe every single second of it. And then, Las Vegas arrives in this trailer, and I have to tell you, when those neon lights hit the screen for the first time, the entire energy of the trailer shifts in a way that is absolutely spectacular. Everything that came before, Fort Worth, Dallas, all of that scrapping and building and fighting, it was all leading to this moment. It was all building toward the city that Benny Binion was going to help shape into the legend it became. And the way Blood Aces presents Las Vegas in this trailer is unlike anything I have seen on television before. It is glamorous, and it is seductive, and it is absolutely dripping with danger in every single frame. You understand immediately why a man like Benny Binion looked at Las Vegas and saw not just a city, but a destiny. The Las Vegas sequences in this trailer are visually stunning in a way that genuinely takes your breath away. The Horseshoe Casino, which Benny Binion made world famous, is recreated here with such extraordinary detail that it looks like it was actually filmed in the original building. The scale of it, the lights, the crowds, the energy of a room where fortunes were being made and destroyed every single minute of every single day, all of it is captured perfectly. And at the center of it all is Cole Hauser as Benny Binion, moving through his kingdom with this absolute authority that is simultaneously magnetic and deeply frightening. This is a man who built something from nothing. And by the time we see him in Las Vegas, he knows exactly how powerful he has become, and he is not even slightly apologetic about any of it. We also get glimpses in this section of the trailer of the World Series of Poker, which Benny Binion created and which became one of the most famous sporting events in the entire world. And those scenes are extraordinary. The tension of a high-stakes poker game is something that is very difficult to translate onto a screen in a way that genuinely grips an audience. But Blood Aces appears to have figured out exactly how to do it. Those poker scenes in the trailer are absolutely nail-biting, even in these brief glimpses. And I can only imagine what they are going to feel like when you are watching them as full scenes in the actual series. The combination of the stakes, the personalities involved, and Cole Hauser presiding over all of it like an absolute emperor of the felt, it is going to be something very special indeed. But this section of the trailer also begins to show us the darker side of Benny Binion's Las Vegas story. Because as powerful as he became, and as legendary as his name was, there were always forces working against. The action sequences that we see in the Las Vegas portion of this trailer are also absolutely jaw-dropping. Without giving too much away, what I can tell you is that Blood Aces is clearly not pulling any punches when it comes to depicting the violence that was a fundamental part of Benny Binion's world. These are not sanitized, television-friendly confrontations. These are brutal, consequence-filled moments of violence that carry real weight and real impact. And the way they are shot, with this unflinching, almost documentary-style directness, makes them land with a force that genuinely shocks you even when you think you are prepared for them. This is exactly the kind of storytelling that made Yellowstone so gripping, and it is incredible to see it being applied to Benny Binion's story with such confidence and skill. Now let's talk about Cole Hauser specifically, because honestly, everything in this trailer begins and ends with his performance. And it is a performance that I think is going to completely redefine how people think about him as an actor. As much as we all loved Rip Wheeler, and we all loved Rip Wheeler with everything we had, that role now looks like it was just Cole Hauser warming up for what he was always truly capable of. Because what he is doing in this trailer as Benny Binion is operating on an entirely different level. This is not just a tough guy with a good heart. This is a fully realized, deeply complex, morally ambiguous human being who contains multitudes and contradictions and layers that you are going to spend an entire series trying to fully understand. And Cole Hauser is carrying all of that weight with a naturalness and an ease that is genuinely extraordinary to watch. What strikes me most about Cole Hauser's performance in this trailer is the way he handles the charm. Because Benny Binion was not just violent and dangerous, he was also magnetic and funny and genuinely beloved by many of the people around him. And you see that in this trailer. There are moments where Cole Hauser flashes this smile that makes you completely understand why people trusted Benny, why they followed him, why they bet everything on him even when the rational part of their brain was probably telling them not to. And then, in the very next moment, that charm disappears and you see something else entirely behind his eyes, something cold and calculating and completely without mercy. And the transition is so seamless and so subtle that it genuinely unsettles you in the best possible way. Cole has also spoken about how personally meaningful this project is to him, and you can absolutely feel that investment in every single second of his performance in this trailer. This is not an actor showing up and doing a job. This is an actor who has poured everything he has into understanding and honoring a real human being's story. The physicality he brings to Benny Binion, the way he moves, the way he occupies space, the way he commands a room without ever needing to raise his voice, all of it feels deeply researched and deeply felt. You believe completely that this man built an empire. You believe completely that this man made Las Vegas what it is. And that level of believability is what separates a good performance from a truly great one. The dynamic between Cole Hauser's Benny Binion and the various characters around him is also something that this trailer teases beautifully. There are relationships here that feel incredibly complex and incredibly layered, friendships that blur into business partnerships that blur into something much more dangerous, rivalries that feel deeply personal rather than just strategic, and moments of genuine vulnerability from Benny that make you understand how he managed to build the kind of loyalty around him that he did. Because nobody builds what Benny Binion built without people who are genuinely devoted to them, and Cole Hauser makes you believe in that devotion completely. It also has to be said that the collaboration between Cole Hauser and Sylvester Stallone behind the camera appears to have produced something genuinely extraordinary. Stallone's fingerprints are all over this production in terms of its scale, its ambition, and its unashamed commitment to telling a big, epic, unapologetic story about a complicated man. And Cole Hauser's own creative instincts, his understanding of this world and these kinds of characters, have clearly shaped the show in ways that make it feel completely authentic. When two people who understand storytelling this well come together on a project they are both this passionate about, you get something special. And Blood Aces, from everything this trailer is showing us, is absolutely something special. Now, let's talk about the bigger picture here, because Blood Aces is not just an exciting new series on its own terms. It is also a massive statement about where the entire Yellowstone universe is headed, and I think it is a statement that should genuinely excite every single fan of everything Taylor Sheridan has built over the past several years. Because what Blood Aces represents is an expansion of that universe into territory that nobody fully anticipated. A willingness to take the themes and the storytelling approach that made Yellowstone legendary and apply them to completely new worlds, new time periods, and new kinds of American stories that are just as rich and just as compelling as anything we have seen on the Dutton Ranch. And when you look at Blood Aces alongside everything else that is happening in the Yellowstone universe right now, from 1923 to the upcoming 1944, from Tulsa King to everything else that is in development, you start to see an incredibly ambitious and coherent vision taking shape. Taylor Sheridan is building something that feels almost unprecedented in television, a connected universe of American stories that span generations and geographies, but are all united by the same fundamental themes: ambition, legacy, the cost of power, the complexity of loyalty, the way that great men and terrible men are sometimes the exact same person. Blood Aces fits perfectly into that vision, and it feels like it could be the most ambitious chapter of that universe yet. Now, the question that every Yellowstone fan is asking right now is obvious. Will we see connections between Blood Aces and the rest of the universe? Will familiar faces appear? Will storylines intersect in ways that reward longtime fans? And honestly, based on everything I've seen in this trailer and everything I know about the relationships between Cole Hauser, Sylvester Stallone, and Taylor Sheridan, I fully believe the answer to all of those questions is yes. Maybe not in obvious, heavy-handed ways, but in the subtle, carefully crafted ways that this universe has always handled its connections. A name mentioned in passing, a location that feels familiar, a character whose history ties back to something we have seen before, the kind of Easter eggs and connections that make dedicated fans feel genuinely rewarded for paying attention. The release timeline for Blood Aces is still building toward that 2027 window that we have been hearing about. And based on the production quality visible in this trailer, it is clear that this is a team that is not going to rush this project for anything. They are going to take the time they need to do this story justice. And honestly, that is exactly the right call. Because a story this big, a character this complex, and a production this ambitious deserves to be done properly. The wait is going to feel long. I am not going to pretend otherwise. But everything about this trailer tells me that when Blood Aces finally arrives, it is going to be worth every single second of that wait many times over. So now it is your turn, Yellowstone fans. What did you think of the Blood Aces trailer? Was Cole Hauser everything you hoped he would be as Benny Binion? Are you as convinced as I am that this is going to be one of the greatest things to come out of the entire Yellowstone universe? Drop everything in the comments because I genuinely want to know what you are all thinking. And while you are waiting for Blood Aces to arrive, make sure you check out our coverage of the Yellowstone spinoff 1944, because things are getting very exciting there as well.